My name is Skanaie'a and welcome to part 2 of our medicine walk. In Skanaie'a we say Kwakaratón Deer, which is pretty much a direct translation of turtle socks. It's also known as the pitcher plant, which is a pretty good description of its leaves. It kind of looks like a half-filled pitcher of water. The leaves have red veins, and on the inside they have these down-facing hairs, and the flower is kind of a dull red color. It's usually found in sphagnum bogs, wetlands, and marshes. We use the root as a diuretic as well as an aid during childbirth, and it helps to treat ailments of the lung and liver. We also make a tea out of the dry leaves that's used to treat fevers. So the plant is currently a threatened species in a lot of areas, but can still be found in the Adirondacks. As for its conservation, it's really critical that we protect the sphagnum bogs that it grows in. The slippery elm tree, or Ohoksera, it's a medium-sized tree, and it has flat, wide leaves that are toothed, and they are very rough on the top, almost like sandpaper, while the bottom has almost these fine furry hairs on it. Its bark is reddish brown to gray in color, and it has long flat grooves and shallow ridges. It's usually found in areas where the soil is moist and rich. Areas like floodplains, woods along streams, and lakes are ideal for it. So we use its reddish inner bark to make a tea, and it treats a lot of inner ailments including sore throat, stomach, ulcers, diarrhea. We also apply it to fresh wounds and burns, and also as a way to ease childbirth. It contains compounds that soothe your tissues and increases in beneficial internal mucus production. For conservation, that means maintaining the wetlands that it's found in and protecting them from overdevelopment and pollution. Here we have Dandelion, or red clover. Its flowers are tube-shaped and grow in a flower cluster, and it usually has 3 leaves with a small chevron, light-colored chevron on the top that guides pollinators towards the flower head. And you can actually pluck off the top of the flowers and suck out the nectar underneath. It's sweet. It's found in fields, meadows, and pretty much any grassy area that isn't mowed regularly. The flowers can be made into a syrup that soothes coughs, and the flowers are also dried, added into teas, and if drunk regularly, it is said to prevent cancer, which emerging research actually supports. The leaves and flowers are also eaten raw in salads or mixed in with soups. So red clover isn't really subject to conservation concerns, but it can be part of natural lawns, providing a really attractive low ground cover that doesn't require mowing or pesticides. So here we have the dandelion plant, or Kwakaratón. It's very well known. In the spring, it has a brightly colored yellow flower, very similar to the coltsfoot here, but it's now August, so it doesn't have any flower. It's also identified by its big puffball at the top of its stem, which is how it spreads its seeds. And its stem is tubular shaped, and when you break it, there's a milky substance that comes out, and which is where the Skanaie'a names from. It comes Kwakaratón, which is means on the top of a tube. So it has long basal leaves that attach at the bottom and has deep teeth and grooves. Dandelion is one of the most widespread plants in the world and can be found pretty much anywhere. The leaves and the flowers can be eaten raw and used in salads, as well as added to soups, much like the clover. It is very high in micronutrients, and the root can be used either fresh, dried, or roasted, and it helps to support liver function and bile. The root also contains a compound that supports a healthy gut, which increases insulin sensitivity. And as for restoration or conservation, it's not really a concern. It's just we need to make sure it's free from pesticides if you're going to consume it. So this is a raspberry plant, or Skanaie'a Deer. This is actually a very small one. They usually grow much higher. It's bushy, and it has these cane-like stems that are covered in thorns. There are brown ones, which are second-year growth, and there are green ones, which are first-year growth. And berries pretty much only grow on the second-year brown stems. Its leaves are light green and kind of shaped like a spade with toothed edges, and the bottom is a much more silvery light green. It's typically found on the edges of forest where trees tend to meet the grass. For its medicinal uses, we use the leaf to make a tea to help with menstrual and reproductive issues. It is used to help with our moon time and also to induce labor, which is why it is usually avoided by pregnant women for most of their pregnancy. It is also used as a postpartum aid to help heal the uterus and return it back to its original state. For conservation, it grows very, very well in this area, and along with most other things that you will consume, you need to be careful that it's not contaminated with any pesticides or anything like that. The tobacco or Kwakaratón plant has a thick hairy stem and these large fat oval leaves. It produces these yellow tubular flowers. We usually remove these in order to encourage growth of the leaves, which are then picked and dried. It's mostly only planted from seed now and does best in well-draining and well-aerated soil. Our use of tobacco is mostly ceremonial. We use it as an offering to give thanks, and it's our connection to the sky world. Offering, burning, or smoking tobacco is seen as a way to pass messages on to the Creator. To replant tobacco, you need to leave some of the flowers intact, which will turn into seed pods. These can be stored for next year and broken open to replant the many tiny little seeds inside. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed our medicine walk.